Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's going on in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patton. It's a pleasure to welcome you back today here at the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church and the Activity Center with me and my director, Brian Blackton. And it's the middle, now we're going toward the end of January, and also, of course, we're in 'tis the season. And no, we're not the Christmas season, but 'tis the political season, so you're getting bombarded with all kinds of phone calls and surveys and all that jazz. And also, too, Valentine's is on the horizon, so isn't that a riot, huh? But today, I'm pleased to have with me Carl Nolan and, I know I'm going to kill this one, Dick
Dagavarian.
Very good. From the Concord Lions Club in Concord. And you know, I love to focus on them. Concord had a lot of clubs at one time. I mean, organizations, and unfortunately we're in a society now that people just don't want to be committed to doing anything or going to a meeting, holding an office. Do you find that in the Lions Club? I mean, I find it in the Grange, the same thing. They'll come to support something, but they don't want to be tied down to an office or a meeting night.
Well, the Concord Lions Club has been around quite a while. We're over 75 years.
Really?
And we meet now once a month for an official members meeting.
Yeah.
And that's usually the first Wednesday of the month.
Oh, good.
And we meet at Allen's Restaurant up in Boscawen. It's a very nice spot. Anyway, the commitment used to be you had to go to a meeting, you had to go to a board meeting, you had to perform certain projects weekly basis. It's all changed because volunteerism is a thing of the past. It's not something that people, the younger people, I say younger, I'm 77 years old, and I feel I'm one of the younger people in my club, because that's where we're at.
Well, that's it.
The club is, the only way we lose a member is if they pass away, which is a very unfortunate way to do business.
Yeah, that's what gets
So people who are looking to help the community, this is definitely one of those organizations that do that. And there are several of them in the city, but we're one of pretty loosely run, and we want members to come enjoy themselves and do something. We don't want to just have meetings. Dick, what do you think of that?
Well, I agree. We try to keep it light. We have a lot of activities going on within the city, so there's a lot of community services performed, direct community service. And our group is small. There's only 18 of us.
That's all you have for
at the
members
moment,
now?
Yeah.
Really?
But they're dedicated.
Yes.
So of that 18, you get at least 10 or 12 that are going to be involved in whether we have meetings or in activities that we have going on. And it's hard for us to get younger people.
Oh, yes.
Our youngest members are in their 40s.
Yep.
And our oldest members are in their 80s. And our average age, I did a little number crunching. Our average age is about 68 years old.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's the same way the Grange.
You're right, and it's the same with many other service organizations as well.
Yes, we're going to get into that one. I mean, we're in existence now 106 years this year for the Grange on the Heights. And you're right, our average age is right up there about 70, 75, and I'm 67. And I joined at 14, although I was in the junior Grange at 5 years old. But we just took in 7 new members, but they won't come to meetings. We know, but they'll hopefully help out with the parades and things like that. But the Lions Club. I was a member of the Lions Club when Bob Turner was president. Now, who's president now?
Carl Nolan, the guy standing right in front of you here.
Oh, good.
It happens that way. Once you become president,
yes,
you take your tour of duty, and some way you get. I think this is my 3rd time as the president, and I've had a couple of shots at treasurer. that's normally the procedure, but, you know, what we really need to talk about is what we do.
Oh, yes.
And one of our major, and it is our major project, and it's the eye
Yes.
testing program. It used to be our eye program that we held on a weekend, and we would have people come into a location and they'd have their eyes examined. They'd have get their prescription, and we'd send them off to one of the local vendors, and we'd pay the bill
Wow.
for whatever they got, their eyeglasses and you know, and whatever services they had. And we go, you know, nationally. We you know, if someone here in Concord needs to have cataracts fixed, they can't afford it on their own. They fill out the paperwork. We send the application up the chain of command, I say, and we will pay a portion of it as a club, but the majority of it will be paid by district or national. So
Okay.
if the bill is $3,000, we don't pay $3,000. We couldn't afford that.
No. Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. So if somebody has cataracts, they've got to be off their own, but they don't have the insurance, they have something, but now do they have to be a member of the club or okay, that's good to know because, you know, I mean, I've got cataracts, but, and hopefully this year they'll take them off. I mean, they're not at that stage yet, but still it's scary. My sister's got them. I mean, I ran in the family, but it was just, you know, it's a very scary thing if you don't have the thing. That's a nice service to know about. But you told me on the phone the other day that you just got done with over 3,000 boys and girls from preschool to 3rd grade.
Correct. Dick, you want to go into that program?
Sure. That's our vision screening program, which we do through the schools.
Yeah.
We have a spot vision screener. Welsh Allen, I believe, is the company that makes it. And these screeners, you sit the kid down, and in seconds, it bounces a light off the back of their eye, comes up with readings,
Wow.
compares them to their age group,
Yeah.
and then shows whether they are within the normal range or whether they're outside of that range and they need to go see an eye specialist.
Wow.
So we go to the schools in Concord, we
Yeah.
go to schools, private schools in Concord as well. We go to schools in other communities around, like Belmont, Canterbury, Warner.
Webster.
Wow, you're really well done. Belmont? And,
Yeah, Belmont.
Right.
Wow,
And
that's-
we can do, depending upon the size of the school, and if we have 1 or 2 of our screeners available, we do up to 400 kids in a day.
Wow.
And
Man.
it's not a full day, it's really more like 5 hours to do all of that. It's very quick, and it's a screening, like I say, that points out if there's some child who has some problem, whether it's nearsighted, farsightedness, gaze, astigmatism, and then that piece of paper that's printed out goes to the parents, and they can then go to a professional. If they have problems with insurance or making payments, you know, having money to do that, our club can also help out with that as well. So
So you go to charter schools as well as the public schools?
we, yes, yeah, we
That's
go
good.
to a whole,
The thing about it is that by doing this, it's a heads up to the parents, and it is an extremely time-saving job that you remember the nurse used to have to do. She'd bring 10, 12 kids in a day
Oh, yeah.
and say, what's this letter, or what's this letter, what's this? Well, the amount of time that she took and the cost to do that
Yep.
was extraordinary.
Oh, sure.
You know, if you added it all up. But we go in there and we do it, the whole school that needs it, the early intervention programs, and, you know, she doesn't have to do that. She gets a packet of, here, these are the kids that are okay according to our screening, which is just the screening, and here are the ones you should notify the parents. There is something to be done. Now, if they can do it themselves by their own program, fine. If they can't, they can come back to us. There's a note on the bottom of the form. Says if you need help, call us. we'll set you up, take care of that, and it's a heck of a service. And this is only one of the things that we do in the community. You know, we, even though we're only 9 or 10, I consider myself retired, but in the last 20 years of retirement, I'm not retired.
No.
Let me tell you, there's
Yep.
plenty of things to do
Oh, yeah.
in many of the organizations. You never belong to just one.
No.
I'm also with Post 21 American Legion. I'm also with the Association for Handicapped and Retired Citizens,
Wow.
and the Lions. And
Yeah.
and if you're there, you need to do something,
Oh, yeah.
and we do. But what we need, as Dick will tell you, is a few more people who need to do something.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are only 8 hours really in a day where we can get out and do these things. And we try to set some up on weekends, but we need, obviously, more members. It's not as time consuming as you think. You know, if you do a couple hours a month, you'd be doing a lot for your community,
Yeah.
because we'd have more people to do those 2 hours.
Now, the eye screening is a big thing with the eyeglasses and eye testing. What other projects are you involved too? What's coming up? Anything after this one now? Or? Used to be with the racetrack, you had something going on
we
there.
used to do something with the racetrack. You're right, but now that's kind of dwindled away.
Yeah.
But we do Special Olympics will be
That's
our
it,
next.
that's the one.
Special Olympics is a program that we're involved with, and we do, again, we'll go over to UNH where they have them.
Yep.
And throughout the day, we've got our eye screeners there, and we do the eye testing right there for anybody in the state that's
Yeah,
at the games.
Sure.
So we do 70, 80 on a weekend,
Wow.
and those kids go home with the paperwork if we don't do it right there, because we have someone who comes in and cuts the prescriptions right there. We have a doctor take a look at them right there. So a kid could come in the morning at 8 o'clock, get tested, and have glasses before he goes home. You know, and those that don't, they have the paperwork to go take care of it. And,
Yeah.
and that's, the Special Olympics are a big program. In Concord, Dr. Mancini, who's over on South State Street, has been a wonderful advocate for that program.
That's good.
So that's the one that's coming up in the spring.
Okay.
We have to do. I'll have to get my list here. I brought a list. I knew you'd ask me.
Well,
Go ahead, Dick.
recently, we helped out, we had a crew that we got of our members that helped out with the capital area food program.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
over
right.
at the armory, we were there
Yeah.
filling up boxes with food.
Yeah, give me an idea. We're involved with the New Hampshire Association for the Blind,
Yeah.
helping them with eye awareness and sight and hearing. We also help out with camperships for kids who need to go to camp in the summer,
Yeah.
whether they're from the Retired Association or whether they're from just a community person who wants to go. We already talked about the Capital Region program, Special Olympics. Okay, we used to be involved a lot with football and hockey and those kinds of things, but as our members left, they were usually involved with those programs, and we couldn't find anyone to pick up the loose ends
Sure.
and someone to help us take care of that. We have a scholarship program where we give out 3 $1,000 scholarships, 3 different individuals. We used to give a bulk thing to one person, but then we said, no, let's give a little to many
sure.
of them.
Yeah.
So, and we've already talked about our Operation Kids site for the preschool.
Yeah.
And we do roadside cleanup on Clinton Street,
Yeah.
another thing. We ring the bell for the Salvation Army, although we couldn't get enough people to do it this year, so that's why we need some bell ringers. If you're out there, come on in, we'll set you up with that.
Yeah.
But there are so many programs that we donate to or we take part in. it's a community-based program. That's all you can say. So if you give us a couple hours, it's going to turn into more than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it always does, because no matter, I mean, myself, I love volunteer. I do a lot of volunteer stuff, especially after I had my major stroke in 2007. But I enjoy helping people, and I got that from my mother, because she always said, because they grew up during the Depression, and they didn't have much at all. They lived over here on East Sugar Bar Road, and they knew what it was like. It was very tough those years, and so she said, if anybody's ever good to you, always give back something. Do something in return, because just don't take. You know, and so I've never forgotten that. But now I remember a couple of meetings I went to. They met here in Concord at a restaurant, and I can't remember if it was the Cat and the Fiddle or it was the Red Blazer, but anyway, they used to meet, and you used to have a thing during your meeting. I think it was called Tiger Twister,
Tail twister.
Tail Twister, that was it,
Yeah.
yes, Tail Twister.
Right.
What was the Tail Twister all about? I remember that was a fun thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the tail twister is traditionally with Lions clubs is one member of the club is chosen or voted by the members to be the tail twister, and so the tail twister at all meetings try to keeps things lively at the meeting. Fines people for not wearing their buttons, for wearing the wrong socks.
Okay, yeah.
You know, anything.
Yeah,
It's just to keep things light. And
Do you still do that?
well,
We do have a tail twister, but he's been out of commission for a while. But we're gonna have to reinvent that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
when you get the right personality for a tail twister.
Now, is it strictly just for men, the Lions, or the ladies not involved?
No, not at all.
So you've opened it up to ladies, huh?
Yes, since the late '80s, I
Yeah,
believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
And,
Probably right after you left, because they were afraid when you were there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Turner was one that got me in.
Well, he was quite a negotiator, we'll call him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got something for everything he did. Bob was a good man that way. We were talking about other programs we're in.
Yeah.
You know that there's that kids' night out down at the park in the summertime, and there are a lot of organizations there. But Lions, we were one of the primary there again.
Is that the one where the police have that?
That's the police one. We have the
Yes.
helicopters,
Down
the
there,
fire
Rollins Park.
trucks, dump
Rollins
trucks.
Park, yes.
Yeah, they're down at Rollins Park.
Yeah.
And we did a big project for the last 3 years for some of the veterans. We had a bench put out at the walkway out at
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
out at the Veterans Cemetery.
Oh,
we
really?
put a bench in honoring all those Lions who were veterans.
And that's up in Bosquen, right?
Bosquen, right,
Yeah.
on the walk where all the monuments are for
Yeah,
KFC, everything, Knights of Columbus, the whole works.
yeah.
They all got something, so we put a nice bench out there. It cost us over $5,000 to put everything in.
Yeah.
And now we're working on the benches there, but we want to put bricks around it with every Lion veteran's name.
that's nice.
So, so
Yeah.
if Carl Nolan was in the Army, it'll say Carl Nolan
Yeah.
Army.
Yeah.
And there'll be a brick honoring those individuals who were Lions, which
Yeah,
is a pretty neat idea. The other, we keep saying the people over there with the eye clinic, well, they're now called the Future Sight Program. They're not, they're thinking more of, not only young, but older.
Yeah.
Because older people certainly need a lot of help. The other thing we did was the tree project. Trees are dying and being burnt, and
Oh, I know.
we got to put our trees back in. Well, we've been planting trees now for the last 2 years down at the different parks
Really?
in the city.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're in the process now of putting little tags on it saying sponsored by
Well, they should.
Lions
That's right.
Club and things like that. So that's another one of our little programs, a tree program. Of course, like we said, we were in the food business too. We go out and we help out at that Capital City Drive, and we have members who actually deliver, which is quite an experience when you start delivering
Oh, yeah.
to some of these families who are in need or have requested help. Then you realize how good these programs are, is when you see the people and their reactions.
Now, didn't one time you have what they called the Lions Den up at Memorial Field, the
Yeah,
concession stand?
yeah, Lions Den.
I thought so.
Yeah, it was the
Ken Barrett was in that, wasn't he?
yeah, Kenny Barrett was there, and Turner, and the whole gang, really. Gino, we had quite a crew down there, and the thing is, it was a great program.
Yeah.
But as time went on, there were more and more activities at the field,
Oh, yes.
and so the gods to be wanted more time from us.
Oh, sure.
And we didn't have enough time. No,
Yeah.
it was okay when you had a Friday night football
Oh,
game
yeah,
and
sure.
a Saturday afternoon football game.
4th of July fireworks, yeah.
Yeah. So we were able to muster the fellas to do that and the ladies to do that. But you know, when they started asking you, well, we'd like you here because we got an activity Thursday night, we got one Sunday afternoon and Sunday morning. You know, it turned into, you know, we were there 3 or 4 days, and we couldn't handle it. So one of the other clubs wanted to try it, so we just turned everything over to them. It was a great deal for them.
Yeah.
Everything was ready to go, but they found out
Oh, yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
you know, that the demands were too much, and then
Yeah.
they had some semi-pro teams
Yes,
come in, and
yeah.
the semi-pro teams had their own.
Yep.
So that kind of pushed us out the door and pushed the other group out the door.
And didn't they tear that down, and have they rebuilt it yet? Or
No,
they
no,
haven't
that's,
rebuilt it.
that's gone. That'd
That's too
probably be gone forever.
Yeah.
And it was fun, you know, you go to the football games and,
Well, it's a
and
great fundraiser.
a lot
too.
of people, yeah. And we gave a percentage of that to the city, and we put the rest of it back in charity stuff. So,
Sure.
you know, these organizations that do this stuff, like the Kiwanis and like the Knights here, you know, all the work they do is for somebody else.
Of course it is. That's
which
exactly
is
right.
which is really unfortunate that we can't get a lot of somebody else's to come and do the work, because what's going to happen is closed clubs are going to die out, and that'll be it.
I know.
And
Yeah.
then I tried to explain that to the city council one time when I was down there talking about something else, and I says, you know, you realize if these clubs leave, like last year, just the Lions Club and the American Legion gave over $70,000 to the community.
Wow. Gee.
Okay, so now what happens if these clubs don't exist anymore?
Yep, exactly.
That 70,000 will be up in your basket, and
Yeah.
you're going to have to come
Yeah.
up with the funds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, you're living a good life, but I can't get it through to them.
No, no.
It doesn't seem to register.
No, it don't. And
Till
it's
it
sad.
leaves.
It's sad
Yeah.
because they wonder why aren't they doing things? Why? It wasn't them. It wasn't the city. It was organizations like us and volunteers who did the thing. And you got all these new people that are coming into Concord.
Right.
They have no idea what the history of Concord is or what was done before. You know, it's really sad because this has been a good city, and I'm telling you, and we had a lot of events go on here.
Yes.
Now there was a gentleman that used to come on from the Lions once in a while around town. I think he was from Canterbury. Is it Tom?
Tom
Gino?
Gino.
Tom Gino.
Tom
That was
Gino.
right. Is he still living?
Yes, he is.
He's in our
He's
club.
still in the program. Still very active.
Because I remember when he came on, it was something to do with the races. I know that. Yeah, the Eagles this year joined us with a Christmas parade. The Grange this last year sponsoring it. I mean, you know, it's tough because I know everybody gets hit up for donations. I know that. Every business you talk to, yes, I know they do, the banks and all that stuff, but still, you know, if it wasn't for the Grange and the Lions and the Kiwanis, Rotary, what would happen? You know, really. They haven't had a Veterans Day observance, I found out, for almost 4 years now.
Really?
I didn't know that. And Memorial Day, of course, that parade has shrunk. But I mean, it's just sad. We used to have 4th of July parade, we used to have Flag Day parade years ago, but No, the Lions have all, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, they belong to the Lions up there in Woodsville.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Cohos, I guess they call
Yeah,
it.
course, yeah.
And they do a lot of stuff up there. They do Christmas gifts. They bought 87. They took 87 kids up there and bought gifts and everything else for them this year.
That's great.
My sister-in-law, she was the one. She's a nurse at Littleton Hospital, but she spearheaded that effort for the Lions Club up there. So, and my father-in-law was very active up there too. But
Now, Dick, what do you got to say about all the activities?
Well, we have activities. We need people to help out with them. It doesn't take a lot of, as Carl said, it doesn't take a lot of time. One meeting a month, and you don't have to go to all the meetings.
good.
Just stay in touch, and
Yeah.
if people want to help out, help with what's going on in the community, our club is a great avenue for to do that.
Okay, who do they call, Dick? I mean, if someone's watching, they think, gee, maybe I would like to become a member or something. Who do they call? You call?
Well, I'd hate to say it's
Yeah,
gonna
you
be Carl,
you can
because-
call me, but you can also call the Chamber of Commerce because we belong to that.
We do too.
And they, they will take the number and get hold of us somehow if you're
Okay.
interested in anything, membership, or if you need something
Yeah.
that we're doing.
Good.
We do
All right.
sight and hearing. We do hearing aids now, which is a very costly.
Oh
event,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We pay a certain amount, but again, the district and national pay a certain amount.
Good.
And speaking of national, all these things that are happening down in Australia, or down in our own country, down in the south when things are getting flooded and things like that, the Lions are always donating to those projects from the national level, because we contribute certain funds to the
Yeah.
national level.
Sure.
So we're in a lot of stuff.
Well, we're gonna close the show, but we're so happy to have you both on, and we hope that this will maybe wake up a few people and get you back on again, but even more so. And I'll take an application if you got one with you. I see you've got one with you, so. But thanks for joining us around town. We've been visiting with the Concord Lions Club, and please get out and support them, and we'll look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care. I'm Dick Batten, the host.